In part 1, we looked at the first 5 design basics for better digital visuals: clear message, visual hierarchy, contrast, typography, and color. Those choices help decide what your design is saying, where the viewer looks first, and whether the information is readable. But strong design does not stop there, because once you know your message and visual style, you have to organize everything. Where does the text go? Where does the image go? What belongs together? What should be removed? And how do you make the whole design feel clear instead of cluttered? Welcome back to Studio CC. This is part 2 of Design Basics for Better Digital Visuals. In this episode, we're covering the next 5 design fundamentals: alignment and layout, proximity, repetition and consistency, white space, and imagery and icons. Then I'll put these ideas together in a creative segment where I design a simple visual graphic using the principles from both videos. So if you haven't watched part 1 yet, I recommend starting there first. But if you're ready to keep going, let's talk about how to organize visual information. Alignment is what makes a design feel intentional. When text boxes, images, icons, and shapes are randomly placed, the design can feel chaotic. But when elements line up with one another, the viewer senses order. Even if they do not consciously notice the grid, they feel it. Layout is the larger structure of the design. How does the eye move across the page? Digital design often uses grids because grids help create balance and consistency. A grid does not have to be complicated. It could be as simple as lining everything up to the left edge, or creating equal margins around the design, or placing the image on one side and the text on the other. The goal is not to make everything in the design symmetrical. The goal is to make the design feel organized enough that the viewer can follow it. Proximity means placing related things near each other. When elements are close together, viewers assume they belong together. When they're far apart, viewers assume they're separate. This matters because design is not just about what you include, it's also about how you organize relationships. For example, if you're making an event flyer, the date, time, and location should probably be grouped together. If you're labeling parts of an image, the label should be close to the thing it describes. If you're creating a list of steps, each step should be visually separated from the next. Proximity helps people understand structure without needing extra explanation. Repetition creates unity. If every slide, post, or graphic uses totally different fonts, colors, icons, and layouts, the viewer has to relearn the design every time. But if you repeat certain visual choices, the audience starts to understand your visual language. That could mean using the same font pairing, the same color palette, the same title placement, the same icon style, the same border or background treatment. This is especially important for branding. Think about a company, school, YouTube channel, or artist account. Over time, consistent visual choices help people recognize who made something before they even read the name. But consistency is not only about branding, it also improves clarity. If every important note is in the same style, viewers learn how to navigate your information. White space, or negative space, is the empty space around and between design elements. And despite the name, it does not have to be white. It can be any empty space. Beginners often feel the need to fill every corner of a design. But empty space is not wasted space. White space helps separate information, reduce clutter, and make the important elements stand out. A crowded design asks the viewer to work harder. A design with breathing room gives the viewer a path. So if your design feels overwhelming, do not just add more decorations. Try removing something. Increase the margins. Separate the sections. Make the design easier to scan. Sometimes the most powerful design choice is restraint. Images and icons should not be added just to fill space. They should support the message. A strong image can create emotion, provide context, or communicate an idea instantly. But a confusing or unrelated image can distract from the message. The same goes for icons. Icons can simplify information, but only if they are clear and consistent. If the viewer has to guess what an icon means, it may not be helping. When choosing imagery, ask, does this image clarify the message? Does it match the tone? Is it appropriate for the audience? Does it create meaning, or is it just decoration? In digital visual literacy, this is especially important because images carry assumptions, bias, emotion, and cultural meaning. So creating visual communication also means taking responsibility for the images we choose. Now let's put these ideas together with a simple example. Let's say I'm designing a social media graphic for a video called How to Spot Fake Images. First, I need one clear message. The main idea is, not every image online is real. So my headline could be, "Can you trust this image?" That headline tells the viewer exactly what the graphic is about. Now I need visual hierarchy. The headline should be the largest text because it's the first thing I want people to read. Then I'll add a smaller supporting line. Learn how to spot fake and AI-generated visuals. And then a clear call to action. Watch the full video. Next, typography. I'll choose one bold, readable font for the headline and a simpler font for the supporting text. I don't need 5 fonts. I need clarity. Next, I'll think about contrast and color. Because this topic deals with fake images and misinformation, I want the design to feel urgent. So I might use bold white text on a dark background with a bright accent color like yellow or red. That gives the design energy and makes the important text stand out. But I'm not incorporating several different colors, which keeps the visual focused and prevents it from becoming chaotic. Now imagery and layout. The image should support the topic. So instead of using a random tech background, I'll use a distorted portrait to suggest manipulation. The image should make the message stronger, not distract from it. I'll place the main image on one side and the text on the other. I want the viewer's eye to move naturally from the image to the headline to the call to action. Now repetition and consistency. Because I include an image of myself pointing in almost all of my other thumbnails, I'm going to repeat that in this thumbnail. That helps connect this design to the rest of my content. At this point, I'm going to change the text to a bolder font and refine the edges of the paint streaks behind my text. I found a different brush that I liked more and tweaked the edges of the paint streaks. Next, I'll think about overall white space. I'm going to adjust the positioning of the text to give it more breathing room. And the design is feeling a little crowded, so I'll remove some unnecessary details like these arrows. I also felt like the halftone texture in the background was competing with the text too much, so I used a splatter brush and black paint to remove some of that. Now the graphic is not just more polished, it communicates faster. And that's the point. So across part 1 and part 2, we've covered 10 design basics for better digital visuals. Clear message, visual hierarchy, contrast, typography, color, alignment and layout, proximity, repetition and consistency, white space, and imagery and icons. These principles are not about making every design look the same. They're about understanding how visual choices affect meaning. Because in a digital world filled with images, being visually literate is not just about knowing how to read images. It's also about knowing how to create them responsibly. Your challenge this week is to choose one graphic, a poster, thumbnail, slide, flyer, or social media post, and redesign it using at least 3 principles from this 2-part series. Maybe improve the hierarchy or simplify the layout. Then ask yourself, is the message clearer now than it was before? If you watched part 1 already, let me know in the comments which design principle you think makes the biggest difference. And if you haven't watched part 1 yet, go back and start there because that episode covers the first 5 fundamentals. Make sure you subscribe for the rest of this digital visual literacy series. In upcoming videos, we'll explore remix culture, appropriation and copyright, digital tools for artists, how to read and interpret images, how to spot fake or AI-generated content, and how the internet functions as a gallery. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Studio CC.